The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own. They may not be the opinions of this network, their groups, or other organizations they may be involved with.
Ganja me meditation, ganja my brain. Ganja weed take away my stress and strain. Ganja me meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and pain. Ganja me meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away the stress and pain. Ganja is the medication, ganja is the cure. Police of them a fight the marijuana for sure. Purify me essence and they make me feel pure. 100 way to Cali, we be bring it on door. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my clothes. No offense, I'm smoking another one around you. Ganja in me daily, ganja me currency. Ganja is the currency and daily pay. Give me the revelation, it's not to get too much and it's been growing. So long, that's what we call it.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Ganja News Update for this Monday, July the 8th, 2024, episode 86, here on NOK Network, the video news podcast focused on cannabis news being reported in mainstream media. I'm joined by my amazing joint host, Tarra Simpson. Hello, Tarra, and how are you today?
Oh, Ron, I'm doing great. Another fantastic week has flown by again, and not gonna lie, I'm a little bit excited for this weekend. I know. I've got my posters up too, and I'm so stoked. I've been making my lists and making sure I have all my stuff ready for our big weekend up at Kim's for the Stoner Cup games. It's going to be awesome weather, a little hot, but that's okay. You know, I love the heat, so I'll take it. It's better than, rain showers. We want to be able to party.
Yeah, I've been following the weather on there. I got Englehart selected as a following thing on the weather network on my phone, and I've been checking the weather every day. Just like Kim's been posted, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be hot, but as long as there's no rain.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
There's supposed to be a little bit of rain Friday morning on the way up, but it's supposed to get clear up and be hot later on, a bit muggy, but hey, we can deal with that, right?
That's okay, because that means if it rains, there won't be a fire ban this year, so we can have our bonfire up at Kim's, right? Last year we didn't do that because it was so dry. We weren't even allowed to have a little barrel fire, you know? Right. So this year we can actually get that fire roaring, and that's going to be fantastic because I love the fire, and I love to cook some steak over the fire late at night. So I have to grab some steaks for some of us to chow on Friday night.
That might be a good idea. Yeah, we'll see.
Nothing better.
We're talking about going up to Kim's. I don't know if we said what we're doing. We pointed here. I don't know if people can read that, but it's the 710. It's the Stoner Games 710 event and Cannabis Cup. So we got the 4th annual 710 Stoner Games happening up at Englehart at Kist Acres on Kim's farm, and we've got the addition of first inaugural Cannabis Cup, Stoner Games Cannabis Cup added on this year. I'm a judge on I've got my judging kit right here. I'm almost all the way through. I've entered some of my scores in. You're a judge as well, I believe.
Yep. I got to get on there. I've pretty much blown through my kit now. I think I have a couple of little things left to judge.
Me too.
Yeah, it's the getting online thing. That's where Kim's gonna be on me. She'll be like, "Get your scores in."
You don't want to be late. You don't want to miss it, right? You don't want to miss the cutoff.
I believe it's the 10th is the cutoff for everybody.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a specific time on the 10th, but the 10th, I know I'm going to have probably all my stuff done and submitted in tomorrow. Midnight tomorrow, so I should be good.
Yeah, but, for sure.
I am the forgetful stoner, so there's a couple that I have to go. I've done all my judging live. with the exception of the topicals. So I've got to go back and watch a couple of the my shows that I've done to find out. I forgot to mark the stuff. I did talk about it. I mentioned what I was going to put, but I forgot to mark it on the paper.
Right.
So I got to go back and review that. So
yeah, at least you have that to go back on, right?
exactly. Yeah. But you know what? I'm not even fully done this kit yet for this year, and I'm already thinking about buying a kit for next year.
I can't wait. Next year will be even bigger. I mean, for the first cup that she's ever put together, there was well over 50 some odd entries. That's unheard of for a first-time cannabis cup. Even some of the smaller cannabis cups that have been running longer, you know, out on the East Coast, West Coast, I don't think get that many entries. I could be wrong, but I'm quite sure that this was a record breaker for a first-time cup. So
this is my first time ever doing a cup, or even really seeing what a kit includes, and I'm like just blown away by it.
So I've entered competition cups. However, I've never actually been a judge before. So this was a for me.
Cool.
But I'm going to definitely do it again next year, and the year after, and the year after. You know, it's fun.
It's a regular thing for me now.
Yeah.
As long as Kim's doing it, hey, I'm going to be a judge, and hey, I'm hoping to enter something in next year myself. So
yay! I'm excited.
I was wanting to try to get it in this year, but my harvest wasn't done in time, so my timing was a little off. So I'm going to plan my grow a little bit better next time, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it as a secret grow. So people who follow me my grow, they'll be able to see the plant and all that, but they won't know what plant it is. I'm not going to say the name of what I'm going to grow.
Right.
Say anything about it. They can follow the grow, see it all, and it'll get entered into the thing, but they're not going to know which one it is.
And then they're going to have to guess.
And they're not even going to know the strain, so they're not even going to be able to guess. Because if I say, "Oh, it's going to be blueberry," and you got it, or something that's distinct, you're going to kind of say, "Oh, this might be Ron's." I think this one might be Ron's. So, no, it's all going to be a surprise.
Absolutely, that's cool. That's cool. I like that.
Exactly. So, well, I guess now we enough talking about this, because we could go on talking for hours about all this, right?
Can you tell we're excited?
I want to go now. I know.
I was hoping to leave Thursday, but unfortunately, Courtney has to work Thursday. So Mom's taxi service has to transport her to and from. So I won't be leaving Thursday because she works until 9.
Yeah.
So I'll be leaving very, very early Friday morning. I'm hoping to hit Kim's by about noon on Friday. Okay. That is the plan. Like 5 a.m. departure. Should be in Englehart around noonish. Would be perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we might be arriving around the same time, or you might be arriving just a little after me, because Mark is picking me up. Planning on picking me up in Powassan at the park and go there at around 9ish. And so I imagine it's like a little bit more than a 2-hour drive from there, and we'll probably stop for a coffee or something. So we'll probably end up arriving at the same time.
Yeah, I'll probably stop in North Bay and gas up, and then I'll be back on the road again. That's kind of my plan. It's what I did last year. I think I stopped once on the way up, just because I always have to pee.
I can give you information afterwards for cheap gas. Cool. It's not that far out of the way. It's still on the highway. You got to go just a little bit off your track, but you're going to save about I think 20 cents a liter.
Oh, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah,
I will put that in my GPS.
I'll talk to you after the show on that. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming up through North Bay, definitely you can just take a little side detour, and you'll save yourself. It's maybe about a 10-minute detour. But you're going to save a lot of money.
So I can fill up on my way back too.
I used to do that. I used to fill up my jerry cans and all that there when I had to. Anyways,
for sure.
We got a show here.
I know.
And now for our top stories in cannabis news around the globe. Here we go. Clicking buttons here, and we'll just bring it to our other format here. And this story here is coming to us from CTV News. We got Organigram in the news, and we got Germany in the news in the same story. Organigram takes stake in German cannabis firm Sanity Group with $21 million investment. This was published June 25th, and it says just the Canadian Press by staff. So, Organigram Holdings Inc. Says it has taken a minority stake in European cannabis company Sanity Group through a $21 million investment. Moncton-based pot producer Organigram says it may eventually advance another $4.5 million to Sanity through an unsecured convertible note, which made up the bulk of its initial investment. Scrolling down. The investment is meant to help Organigram capitalize on the recent legalization of cannabis in Germany, where Sanity is based and holds a roughly 10% share of the medical pot market.
Wow.
Yeah.
The arrangement could also see the companies deepen their presence in Switzerland, where Sanity is involved in a recreational pot pilot and is expected to invest in distribution channels. The investment expands on a 2023 agreement that saw Organigram supply Sanity with medical pot for distribution across the market. Organigram will now be able to appoint representatives to Sanity's board. Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Kind of cool, but kind of not, because you know who Organigram is.
I do. I'm well aware.
Yeah. So it should be interesting to see what happens through this investment and all that.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm going to reserve comment, I think, on that one. But
yeah,
we'll move over to our next story here, and you can take this one away if you wish.
Okay, so this one's coming to us from StratCan, and it was written July 4th of 2024 by David Brown. So this is 5 private cannabis distributors now fully licensed by Manitoba's LGCA. Manitoba has several private cannabis distributors now available for producers selling into the market and looking for an alternative to direct-to-retail shipping or cross-docking. Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries began seeking new applicants to offer cannabis distribution services in Manitoba in late 2023. This past February, the MBLL announced 5 companies that had successfully applied to participate. Those 5 companies, Delta 9 Logistics, Open Field Distributions, Macabim Distributors, 100 Pounds, and Lineage Distribution, have now passed the second stage of licensing and have been issued their cannabis distributors license from the Liquor, Gaming, and Cannabis Authority of Manitoba.
The first 4 licenses were announced on June 20th, while the most recent Lineage Distribution was issued its license on July 3rd. Prior to this, the province's cannabis operations launched a pilot project for cross-docking services with 4 distributors, with a goal of decreasing lead times for shipments into the province and improving supplier access to small, rural, and remote retailers. Graham Taylor, the president of Lineage Distribution, says cross-docking was well intentioned, but didn't really solve the issue of getting products to retailers faster and more efficiently. Cross-docking is a method of distribution in which goods are received and stored on a short-term basis before being consolidated and sent to retailers. That really didn't, there's a quote here, that really didn't solve the biggest headaches that suppliers and retailers were both feeling, which is really poor lead times, said Taylor. That just saved a couple of bucks on shipping, but in some cases actually increased lead time because you now had to wait for orders to pile up before you ship it out. Now, he explains, companies have the option of more long-term storage to better meet market demands for companies unable or uninterested in shipping individual orders to multiple retailers. Manitoba is one of the few provinces without a centralized warehouse or distribution system, instead allowing producers to ship directly to retailers. Interesting. You know about that.
Yeah, he explains that some companies like Lineage had previously operated as distributors by storing products under a federal production license. However, the new license allows the province to more directly regulate and oversee the process through the MBLL and the LGCA. Lineage also offers distribution in 4 other provinces. Another benefit of going through a distributor versus direct to retailer, adds Taylor, is that you can better provide inventory management in the province to ensure retailers have consistent access to products. Sean Stewart, the founder of 100 Pound Hauling, which also has a distribution license from the LGCA, says his team is taking a different approach to distribution by focusing on unique, exclusive products that can supply his own AAA Supercraft cannabis stores, which with 2 locations in the province, as well as other independent retailers in Manitoba. Stewart says he sees his approach as similar to the legacy cannabis market, where only certain growers or cultivators could be found at certain stores, or in the clothing or sneaker world with unique limited edition products that can only be found in specific stores. The original intent of this is to help bring in the best of the best, not just for Supercraft, but all independent retailers in Manitoba, he explains. I want to really try and give those advantages to those in the know. We are handpicking products and we're working with producers to create new formats and unique pricing strategies that are unique for Manitoba.
Manitoba currently has 206 private retail cannabis stores, 124 of them which are in Winnipeg. In 2022-2023 fiscal year, Manitoba's cannabis operations earned a comprehensive income of $31.3 million, a 27% increase from the year prior, or $6.7 million. Revenue generated by cannabis operations in 2022-2023 was $130.9 million, and a 14% increase from the year prior, or $17 million. The MBLL also recently told producers it is putting new rules in place to ensure cannabis sold in the province is fresher.
Nice.
Yeah. So there was another article that I saw that was talking about that, but I figured the distribution one we'll throw that one in there, because this one here also just includes a little one on that. So who knows? Maybe I'll cover the other story next week on Manitoba about the fresher products. So, anyways, we're moving on to our next story here, the last one before the break, and this one here is from Marijuana Moment. Maryland sees more than 1.1 billion. That's not million. That's with a B. $billion marijuana sales during legal market's first year. And this was published on July 3rd, 2024 by Ben Atlin. Isn't that a picture, really pretty picture of a bud there?
I love
those hairs are almost pink.
Yeah, they're like pink and purple. Yeah. Beautiful.
You know what? I've actually had a strain. I don't know what it was. It was a bag seed, but the pistils were pink.
Oh, beautiful!
Like the white pistils were pink. Not the hair. I'm not talking about the hairs. The pistils. It was really, really beautiful. So, anyways, I'm getting sidetracked there by the beautiful plant. Not hard to do, right?
No, it happens.
It is actually a very gorgeous plant, especially when you're looking at photos on the macro level of the trichomes, the trichome heads.
I know.
Yeah. Gorgeous pics you can be found with that. Since Maryland's adult use cannabis market launched in July of last year, licensed retailers have sold more than $1.1 billion worth of legal marijuana products, including more than $700 million to adult consumers and $400 million in medical marijuana. Last month alone, sales surpassed $95 million, with adult purchases making up more than 2/3 of that amount, or $67 million. That's according to the latest data from the Maryland Cannabis Administration, which Governor Wes Moore, Democrat, trumpeted in a press release on Wednesday. Our new adult use cannabis market isn't only generating extraordinary economic activity, it's also helping us build new pathways to work, wages, and wealth for us all, Moore said in a statement. Making Maryland more competitive and means ensuring that everyone can reap the benefits of Maryland's economic growth. This important milestone proves how our administration continually and repeatedly honors our deep commitment to that mission. The release also highlights other milestones during the past year of regulated cannabis, including establishing, quote, a first in the nation state cannabis reference laboratory dedicated to cannabis oversight and managed by a state regulatory agency, end quote, and opening the first cannabis business licensing round in the nation that was reserved exclusively for social equity applicants.
Wow. The state also collected more than $40 million in fees from licensed marijuana companies over the past year, the release says, which was funneled into the state's community reinvestment and repair fund. The fund, which receives 35% of state marijuana revenue, supports programs benefiting low-income communities and those most impacted by the criminalization of cannabis. Other highlights of this past year, the release says, includes establishing a cannabis workforce development program, launching a statewide public health and safety campaign, creating an Office of Social Equity, and publishing a data dashboard with information about the state's marijuana industry. I am proud of the efforts of the Cannabis Administration staff who worked in collaboration with our governmental and industry partners to implement a safe and equitable market in Maryland, while simultaneously building a new regulatory agency. Maryland Cannabis Administration Director Will Tilburg said in a statement, "As exciting as the past year has been, we expect the year ahead to be even more so as new social equity businesses bring their passion and innovation to the Maryland market." Audrey Johnson, Executive Director for the Office of Social Equity, said the achievements reflect the dedication and hard work of countless individuals who believe in transformative power of equitable cannabis policies. Our focus on social equity has paved the way for more inclusive industry, and we remain committed to ensuring that all Marylanders benefit from this growing market, Johnson said. The governor's press release includes monthly sales numbers for Maryland's medical and adult use markets. The Maryland Cannabis Administration has not yet updated its data dashboard with the latest information. Officials in the state Comptroller's office. Am I reading that right? Comptrollers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Office recently corrected cannabis tax revenue data due to a clerical error noticed late last month.
Yeah, comptroller, that is the right term. My brother-in-law, sister's husband, used to be a comptroller.
Okay, I've never heard it before.
It's like a financial, an accountant type of thing. Not directly. I don't think directly an accountant, but they're responsible for some financials controlling
Gotcha.
stuff in the business.
I just thought it was a stoner.
So, anyways, well, you never know, right?
Right?
During the first quarter of 2024. During the first quarter of 2024, meanwhile, the state collected nearly $15 million in marijuana sales tax revenue, an increase of less than 0.7% compared to the previous quarter. Moore also announced pardons of more than 175,000 state-level marijuana possession and paraphernalia convictions last month, though he's since said there's still work to do to expunge cannabis records. He's pledged to work with lawmakers to achieve the broader reform. Aside from cannabis, the governor in May also signed a pair of bills into law to establish a psychedelics task force that will study legal access to substances like psilocybin and DMT. So that might be a hook story that you can grab for psychedelic reporters on Tuesdays to follow up on.
Absolutely. That's really cool because there is a lot of stuff happening in the U.S., especially with this. Less so in Canada, but the U.S., they're leaps and bounds ahead of us with psychedelics.
Oh, hugely. There's even like members of I know when I was doing psychedelic reporters, I was reporting on stories where there's like senators or other high-ranking government officials who are either using the psychedelics themselves or they're using them for their spouse or a very close family member, and they're speaking out and saying, "This is what it can do. It's not the harmful things that you guys are saying it is."
Absolutely.
Let's get this ball rolling. Type of thing.
Yeah, that's happening quite a bit, actually.
So Governor Moore, I guess that is. So that'll be a great thing to happen there. So we'll come back full screen here for going to break because it is break time now. And so you know what that means. It's medication time.
It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles making mainstream media news.
That's right, folks. And we'll be back in about 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the Ganja News Update on NOK Network.
NOK Network presents Ganja News Update. Join joint host Tarra Simpson and Ron McNabb as they bring you the global cannabis news update. Catch the Ganja News Reporters weekly on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as they cover cannabis news from around the globe in a 60-minute video news podcast. Stay up to date with Ganja News Update, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on your webpage, social media, and streaming sites, including Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and Rumble.
Psychedelic Tuesdays on NOK Network. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Psychedelic Report. Ufa Alvarius is scouring the newsletters for stories being reported in mainstream media on psychedelic records and passing them on to Hobby Puppets and Karen Simpson so they can bring you, our listeners, in the 60-minute video news podcast.
Tuesday evening news.
Join us for Tuesday Evening News, weekly at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all your news and information in the world of psychedelic medicine. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on our webpage, social media, and streaming sites, including YouTube and Rumble.
Put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up for a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on Info with Kim's social media page, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses in life and put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at knocknetwork.com. Send us a message on our social media platforms or email us at info@noknetwork.com.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Ganja News Updates on NOK Network.
That's right. And we have another set of stories coming at you, making cannabis news. So let's get at it. So this next story we got here, it's coming to us from, I didn't change the tab. There we go. Coming, loading up. Hold on. We're waiting. There we go. All right, you can take this one away if you wish.
Okay, this one is coming to us from AZ Mirror, and it's AZ medical marijuana market has shrunk to just 1/4 the size of recreational pot sales by David Abbott, June 26th of this year. After a slight uptick in March, the medical marijuana market continues its slow-moving freefall and has dropped to just 1/4 the size of adult use market 3 years after recreational sales began. Following a third straight year of reaching 1 billion in total sales, Arizona's cannabis market has fallen into a familiar pattern, leveling out at about 110 million monthly. Only, eh? From March of 2021, when the combined marijuana market reached nearly 134 million in monthly sales. Totals have ranged from about 120 million to the apex of 140 million in March of 2022. So far in 2024, those numbers have been below 13 million. January and April bottomed out at 104 million, the largest total since the first full month of legal cannabis sales in February of 2021 registered 96 million. Since a record of 103 million in sales In March of 2023, adult use sales have remained steady, fluctuating between 70 million and 90 million monthly, following a trend that began in December of 2021.
The most recent report for the month of April was $83.7 million. March had the highest total recreational sales so far in 2024, reaching $89.5 million. After the medical side recorded consecutive lows in December 2023 and January 2024 at $25.4 million and $21.5 million, respectively, the bottom keeps dropping for a program that has been in existence for more than a decade. After reaching a peak of $73.4 million in April 2021, the medical market has not topped $40 million since July 2022. In recent months, it has barely cracked $20 million. April's $20.6 million is the lowest total reported since recreational sales began. The state collects a 16% excise tax on recreational sales in addition to the standard sales tax. Medical patients pay roughly 6% in state sales tax. Local jurisdictions charge an additional 2% or so for all marijuana sales. From February through April, the medical program has contributed about $5.5 million to the state coffers, and taxes on recreational sales have been about $41.8 million over that time frame. Since January 2021, recreational sales have generated about $500 million in excise taxes. Wow.
Wow. 1/3 of revenue raised by the excise tax is dedicated to community college and provincial community college districts, 31% to public safety, including police, fire departments, fire districts, and first responders, 25% of the Arizona Highway Users Revenue Fund, and 10% to the Justice Reinvestment Fund, which is dedicated to providing public health services, counseling, job training, and other social services for communities that have been adversely affected and disappropriately impacted by marijuana arrests and criminalization. The Arizona Department of Health Services has reported a steady decline in medical cannabis program participation as the number of qualifying patients continues to drop every month. The total number of patients has plummeted from 113,694 in January to 100,753 in May. Should the trend continue, June patients totals could be less than 100,000 with no end in sight. In May, Arizona medical cannabis consumers purchased 4,764 pounds of marijuana in various forms, down from the 4,808 reported in January. There was a slight upward tick in March to 5,076 pounds when the total medical sales topped out at 23.6 million and the high point for 2024 so far.
So it's kind of like we're experiencing a similar thing in Canada here, where the number of registered medical patients are dropping each year.
Well, I think some of that is, why do they need to go get a prescription now? They can just buy it. They're taxed the same.
Here, we are.
Yeah. If you're a medical patient, you still pay tax on your medicine, even though you don't pay tax on anything a doctor prescribes to you that you fill at a pharmacy. So maybe they see no benefit in getting their doctor involved when they can just go buy it and it's legal anyways.
That's the thing. Because I know here there's some doctors that will actually tell their patients that it's legal, just go and buy it. I'm not going to give you I'm not going to write up to go through all that hassle with the government and all that. Just go and buy it. Especially because as you see, we're taxed the same. Like the patients in recreational, it's got the same taxes.
Absolutely.
Well, there's
The
no
only place
difference
you
in
don't
that.
pay taxes is in legacy, and you get better pricing.
Yeah. Now,
But not all patients have access to that.
exactly. Now, the difference in our medical, like I don't know how Arizona's medical market is, like what their access is like. Like here in Canada, it's pretty much mail only, direct to the LP.
Yeah.
And that if you're purchasing like directly from the system, like you can have like designated growers and all that, but I'm talking about your mainstream for
Your
going
main
out
LPs,
purchasing and that.
Yeah,
Where
it's
the
all
most
shipped.
yeah, so why would you, even as a patient, even if you had to pay more, because some of the LPs do give compassionate pricing, although
Yeah.
it's not all that much compassionate in my opinion, because it's still, even with the compassionate pricing I used to get, I could never afford to get my whole script filled.
Script.
Well,
Yeah.
because
Right, exactly.
I there was no way. And but anyways, saying all that, even if a patient had to pay more and to avoid the stress and worry about waiting for their medicine to arrive in the mail, wondering if Canada Post is going to confiscate it or whatever, for whatever reason, or it's going to get stuck in some postal outlet somewhere for a couple of days, and then meanwhile they can just go to the store and get it.
Right. They can go to any OCS store and pick up what they need in the interim. Yeah.
Which I don't think is a good idea.
No, to be honest, they'll probably pay a little more at an OCS store because the pricing, I think, is probably a little different. It's more geared to rec versus the LP, but they're still paying tax on it either way. The difference is they can go into any OCS store, and there's like in Ontario, they're everywhere. You can go down the street, and there's like one every 5 blocks, right? And they don't all carry the same selection. So it gives patients, I guess, more selection to be able to be like, you know what, this place carries this strain and I really like this strain because it works for me and I can't get it through my LP, right? Because LP only grow certain strains. So it does give them options. But again, why are we taxing patients? Why are we not giving patients compassionate pricing? They're using it because they need it. That doesn't mean they have the money to like shell out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the first thing in my mind the patient is going to look at is ease of access. Even if they got to pay more and use less,
right?
That safety in knowing that you've got that product in your hand, knowing that you have it right there. I've been there myself.
Yeah.
So as a patient, it's a big stress sitting there wondering when your product's going to arrive in the mail.
Absolutely.
Let's bring back the old style medical dispensaries, right? I want to smell the bud. I want to see it.
I hate not being able to see what I'm about to buy. If I were to buy it, like that drives me snaky.
Yeah. It's like I want to know what I'm purchasing here. Like
just because you say it's strain doesn't mean it's not garbage and dry, and like you want to be able to like again. We purchased,
or maybe I don't like the smell of it.
Right.
Maybe I don't like the smell of it, or maybe if it's a new strain I want to try. But I've never had it before, but I want to smell it first. If I smell it, I know I'm going to like it or not.
Yeah,
in most cases.
Profiles. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways, we're moving on to our next story here. This one here is coming out of from MinPost, rather. Sorry, Minnesota raises $10 million in first year from hemp-derived THC sales, but isn't the industry bigger than that? With nearly 3,900 businesses registered to sell the products, some observers think tax revenues should be higher. And this is a story by Peter Callahan. It's published July the 2nd. Going down here, nearly a year into tax collections on Minnesota's new lower potency hemp industry shows that the sale of hemp edibles, beverages, and other products is a $130 million business at least. According to numbers compiled by the State Department of Revenue, the 10% tax on cannabis product sales raised $1,217,450 in May, from 1,873 tax-paying businesses. Over the 11 months that the tax has been collected, the state took in $10,022,635, with average collections of little more than $900,000 a month. But tax collections have been well over $1 million a month this year, which would provide annual sales in the $130 million range. So the hemp industry is growing.
It is. According to state law, the tax applies to sales of products made from hemp, the variety of cannabis plant that contains 0.0% or 0.03% of the intoxicating compound THC. Unlike the more potent cannabis plant, hemp is legal under federal law, but manufacturers process the plant to make intoxicating edibles and beverages. Okay. The state caps the potency of hemp-derived products at no more than 5 milligrams of THC per serving. The medical marijuana and marijuana sold at tribal cannabis dispensaries are not subject to the tax. 4 tribal dispensaries are already operating. When the state launches general recreational marijuana sales next year, the tax will be applied to it as well. 1/5 of the taxes collected are distributed to local governments. Sales are also subject to the state sales tax of 6.875% and any local sales tax. Related marijuana hemp industries go to battle in Farm Bill. For its first year of existence, legal hemp-derived products paid no tax and businesses were not required to register. The passage of the recreational marijuana bill in May of 2023 came the first registration, regulation, and taxation of hemp product sales. According to monthly reports from Revenue, both registrations and tax collections started slowly, with just 699,407 in July of 2023 and 685 businesses. It peaked in March of with 2,043 tax-paying hemp business collecting. Tax-paying hemp businesses collecting looks like $1,364,639. Wow.
Lots of money being thrown around here, eh?
Right? Gee.
Oh, man. Some in the new hemp industry were surprised at the tax collection numbers, thinking they undercount the size of the business. Sean Weber, the president of the Minnesota Cannabis Growers Cooperative and an owner of Crested River Cannabis in Morgan, said he thinks the industry is much larger. Crested River sells mostly to retailers who collect and report the taxes, but his rural area business has a dozen or so sales a day from walk-in customers and those who order online. He said he collects around $1,500 a month in cannabis taxes. The Department of Revenue numbers show that the average tax is paid of $650 per business, but the larger hemp retailers or craft beer and cider makers who sell significant amounts of their significant amounts at their tap rooms pay significantly more than that average. Liquor stores also collect the cannabis tax when they sell THC beverages made by others. That said, $130 million from scratch, pretty good, but I think it's underrepresented, Weber said. To me, they sound low based on what I know. Jason Dayton is a co-founder of Minneapolis Cider Company, which developed a THC beverage called Trail Magic. He agreed the tax collection numbers appear low based on his assessment of the industry, especially on the beverage side. I think the industry is growing at a faster pace than this, Dayton said. A recent Bloomberg article paywalled estimated estimated the THC beverage industry in Minnesota at $180 million a year. While Dayton thinks that is too high, he estimates the THC beverage market, which makes up half of the hemp-derived product sales in the state, is closer to 100 million. If that is true, the taxes from beverage alone would be $10 million a year. And Bob Galligan, the director of government relations for the Minnesota Craft Brewers Guild, said he was a bit underwhelmed by the data as well. He also noted the difference between the number of businesses paying taxes on hemp sales and the number that registered with the state.
That's interesting. The same state has created the tax, also requires hemp businesses to register with the State Department of Health Office of Medical Cannabis. That office was charged with temporarily regulating hemp sales and merged into the Office of Cannabis Management today. The database on the department's hemp-derived cannabis page shows that there are 3,896 hemp businesses registered. Obviously, not all of them are actually operating, but still, quite the jump, Gilligan said, of the different totals. There are 15 top 10 liquor stores in Minnesota, and the THC beverages already make up 10% of the sales, said owner and CEO John Hapler. He expects that share to grow to 20% by next year. It's a growing business, he said. I think we're scratching the surface of what could be.
Mm-hmm.
While Halper said the estimate of industry derived from tax collections might be on the low side, he said he thinks it's close to capturing the size and growth of the industry. I think those look pretty accurate to me, Halper said. I assumed it's a fair amount and it's under the table that you would never be able to pick up. But I don't know if it's in the low dose market, there is a lot happening. Ryan Brown, a spokesperson for the Department of Revenue, wrote this in response to the question. Our figures are based on tax returns filed. MDH registrants may include wholesalers who wouldn't be registered for the cannabis tax as they are selling it exempt for the purposes of resale. He also said there might be businesses that are registered but have closed or ceased selling the product and stopped filing, or businesses that aren't selling products now but will be in the future. And there's a possibility that some making sales aren't filing. The state law assesses the tax on businesses that are located out of state but sell into the state via e-commerce. The taxes collected, at least 20% assigned to local governments, have a complex distribution structure. Counties get half the money, with 20% of the county share going to all counties based on population, and 80% distributed based on the number licensed cannabis businesses in the county. Cities get half the money, with all of the city share being distributed based on the number of licensed businesses within each city. Wow. That's kind of complex.
Yeah. So I do see. I'd be interested in knowing, like, okay, their hemp-derived THC sales in the beverages is going up. I wonder what their alcohol sales is. Is their alcohol sales going down in relation to?
That's an interesting question too. But I'm curious, because these are hemp derived, so meaning like they really don't have a high THC value at all. Right. Versus like what's currently been happening for many, many years in legacy. I wonder what their legacy scene is like that way. Are these products out there made more potent versus what's happening in their legal industry? So that'd be an interesting comparison too.
Yeah, and I don't know if the story said it, but I'd be also interested to know, are these THC infused alcoholic beverages, like the hemp derived THC alcohol?
Right?
Yeah, or are they just hemp derived THC beverages side by side?
Right. Because here in Canada, you can't have cannabis in a liquor store. So that your THC infused beverages are not in the LCBO. You have to go to an OCS store to buy drinks, right?
That's Ontario. Because in Nova Scotia, their liquor store and cannabis stores are.
I could see that because it's such a small community, right?
That's how they chose to set up their cannabis stores. They put them inside liquor stores.
Right.
Pass the liquor to get to your cannabis.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder if they have laws there though that they can't sell you alcohol and cannabis at the same purchase. Like you have to buy one or the other. I wonder.
I don't know.
Because so many regulations with cannabis in Canada, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's too many.
Exactly. It's a plant. Leave it alone. Stop.
Because there's regulations all the way from the federal government level all the way to the municipal level.
I know. It's crazy. And none of them agree with everything. It's complicated, right?
In some municipalities, even around me, it's illegal to walk out in public smoking a joint.
Right. Even though anywhere cannabis or anywhere a cigarette can be smoked, you're supposed to be allowed to consume cannabis. And that's federal law.
Yeah.
So.
But
by law, it doesn't trump federal patient law, right? So you
gotta fight though.
Most people wants that scene, right? Like
most people won't. So
we're lovers, not fighters.
Anyways, we're moving on to our last story for the evening here. So this one here, this is coming from Leafy. Cannabis flower. This story is actually one I picked out a couple of weeks ago that we had dropped because we had gone on a little bit much. I made the executive call, but I wanted to still include this in one of our sessions here. Last week we had off because of Canada Day. So here it is here today. Cannabis flower monograph, essential information for patients. On the 1st of July, 2024, a new set of standards for the quality of medical cannabis will come into force thanks to an update to European Pharmacopoeia. What does this mean for medical cannabis patients in the UK? And this story was done by Emily Ledger on June 6th of 2024. In October 2022, the European Pharmacopoeia, PHEUR, published the initial draft of its new cannabis flower monograph, seeking feedback from the public. Following this public consultation period, the new cannabis flower monograph was published in Supplement 11.5 of the European Pharmacopoeia in January 2024, with the guidelines to be applicable in 39 countries, including the UK, from the 1st of July 2024. So, what is the new cannabis flows or flower monograph? And what does it mean for patients prescribed medical cannabis in the UK? Well, what is a monograph? Pharmacopoeial monographs are descriptions of medical preparations designed to identify the qualities of medicine and the quality standards required for each medicine. These monographs provide detailed parameters that are used to determine whether a given medicine meets the key quality standards and can be legally marketed. There are a number of pharmacopoeias in use by different countries around the world, though not every country has their own pharmacopoeia. In other cases, a country may adopt a monograph from a larger pharmacopoeia when its own pharmacopoeia does not cover the medicine in question. While the UK uses the British Pharmacopoeia, it may also adopt monographs from other sources, such as the European Pharmacopoeia. The The European Pharmacopoeia is now recognized in 39 countries across Europe. Reference to a single pharmacopoeia helps to ensure the continuity of standards between jurisdictions in the region.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
pharmacopoeia and medical cannabis. While medical cannabis is legal in several European countries, including the UK, this is the first medical cannabis monograph published in the Pharmacy Euro. The latest supplement 11.5 also includes a new monograph on cannabidiol, CBD. Jurisdictions among the 39 countries that adopt monographs from the Pharmacopoeia Europe, which have already published their monographs on cannabis flower, such as Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, and Switzerland, will replace this with the new European monograph. The PHEU monograph on cannabis flower. The European Pharmacopoeia final monograph on cannabis flower was published in January of 2024. The pre-released version of the monograph was published in October of 2023 and provides us with detail about this new guidance. However, GMP compliance notes that several additional requirements have been added to the latest version. The new monograph outlines the official definition of cannabis flower, as well as production methods, identification processes, and microscopic examination to identify the cannabidiol or the cannabinoid content of the product. The monograph also defines limits on foreign matter, moisture content, and the presence of seeds and leaves, and includes updated labeling requirements. Neat.
Mm-hmm. So what does the new cannabis flower monograph say? The European Pharmacopoeia monograph defines cannabis flower or cannabis flow as dried, whole, or fragmented, fully developed female inflorescence of cannabis sativa L. The monograph continues, if the herbal drug is to prescribe to be if the herbal drug is to be described if the herbal drug is to be prescribed to patients as a medicinal product, the measured contents of total tetrahydrocannabinol and total cannabidiol, respectively, do not deviate from the values stated on the label by more than plus or minus 10%. The monograph also outlines the cannabinoid content of THC dominant type, THC CBD intermediate type, and CBD dominant type cannabis flower. They are as follows. THC dominant type, total delta 9 THC minimum 5.0% dry drug, total CBD maximum 1.0% dry drug. THC CBD intermediate type, total delta 9 THC minimum 1%, 1.0%, total CBD minimum 1.0%, total tetrahydrocannabinol, total cannabidiol ratio 0.2 to 5.0 dry drug. CBD dominant type, total delta 9 THC maximum 1.0%, and total CBD minimum 5.0%. Further notable guidance from the monograph concern foreign matter should represent at most 2% of the preparation. Furthermore, if the cannabis flower is to be prescribed to patients as a medicinal product, it does not contain any seeds, and the whole herbal drug does not contain any leaves more than 1.0 centimeters in length. Loss on drying should be no more than 12.0%, which is increased from 10% in the draft version of the monograph. And presence of heavy metals, including arsenic, maximum of 0.2 parts per million, cadmium, maximum 1.0 parts per million, lead, maximum 5.0 parts per million, and mercury, maximum 5.0 parts per million, if the herbal drug is to be prescribed to patients as a medicinal product. product.
Wow, there shouldn't be any of that in our medicine, but anyways.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just saying. I mean, can we not have any of that, please? But what about the Europe or PH Euro CBD monograph? As we mentioned earlier, supplement 11.5 also includes a monograph for cannabidiol CBD. With the publication of this monograph, the PH Euro states that CBD is isolated from the cannabis sativa L plant. In previous drafts of the monograph, it was simply stated that CBD is isolated from natural sources. These guidelines, among others laid out in Supplement 11.5 of the European Pharmacopoeia, have now been accepted by the UK's Medicine and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency and will be introduced from the 1st of July 2024. More information regarding Supplement 11.5 can be found here, so there's a link there for anyone who wants to click that. What does this mean for medical cannabis patients? Over the last decade and a half, most countries across Europe have introduced laws legalizing medicinal use of cannabis. In this time, the number of medical cannabis patients in Europe has been consistently on the rise, yet the quality standards and production rules have differed from country to country, making Europe something of a regulatory patchwork. While patients shouldn't notice any issues in the supply of medical cannabis product, it is hoped that the publication of the PH Euro monograph on cannabis flower will provide quality standardization and harmonization of the 39 countries that accept it. This should help limit the supply of substandard medical cannabis flower products in the UK. Furthermore, official limitations on foreign matter permitted in cannabis flower mandate products that are to be prescribed for medicinal purposes should contain no seeds. If implemented effectively, this should also address the growing concern among patients in the UK who have received medical cannabis flowers containing seeds. Conclusion: the final publication of Supplement 11.5 of the European Pharmacopoeia provides a harmonized definition as well as the standardization in the production, content, and labeling of cannabis flower products. As the primary source of official quality standards for medicine and their ingredients in Europe, the contents of the monograph for cannabis flower and CBD will be mandatory on the same date in all participating states and should lead to better quality cannabis flower for people taking up prescriptions.
So, interesting story there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool that they're developing a cannabis monograph, but it's still, I mean, you can say one thing on the packaging and it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're getting, right? I get what they're trying to do. I mean, I like that, that there's a monograph. If you go to the pharmacy to pick up any other medication, they give you a monograph usually in your bag with your prescription that explains what it is and what side effects and etc. So that's cool that there's now officially a monograph for prescriptions of
that's what I thought was kind of cool about it is even though it may still be imperfect and stuff like that, but at least it's getting
working on it,
getting integrated.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So, well, I guess that's it for the stories for this show. So, just want to thank you all, our listeners, for joining. Well, okay, yeah, we're thank you for joining us here this week on Ganja News Update on NOK Network, and for tuning into our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and social media pages. We're on Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, Rumble, and a couple of different Facebook feeds as well. And so over to you, Tarra, there.
So we hope you've enjoyed our update today on mainstream media coverage of cannabis news and information from around the globe.
And many thanks to our sponsors for making this show possible. And thank you to my joint host, Tarra Simpson, and to you, our listeners, for joining us here each week on Education Mondays with Ganja News Update on NOK Network. Peace, everyone. Good night. See you next week.
See you this weekend.
Yes.
Ganja me meditation, ganja my brain. Ganja we take away my stress and strain. Ganja me meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and pain. Ganja me meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away the stress and pain. Ganja is the medication, ganja is the cure. Police of them a fight the marijuana for sure. Purify me heavens and they make me feel pure. 100 way to Cali, we be bring it on door. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my clothes. No offense, I'm smoking marijuana around you. Ganja in the daily, ganja on me currency. Ganja is the currency and daily bed. Give me the revelation, it's not to get too much credit. It's been growing so long, that's why we call it.